What famous celebrity can just fuck right off? Thank you. People whine about cancel culture, but he should have been cancelled years ago. Celebrities used to have to sign a morality clause or they would be blacklisted. It happened to so-called communists, adulterers, and one guy who mistook a teenage girl for an adult. Pretty tame compared to today's offenders. I saw someone here said Wendy Williams, and I agree with that 100%. I also agree with many others, but Wendy Williams is a fake, a phony, and just out of touch with reality. I used to like her, thought she had the best job in the country. I mean, I have opinions about people, too, and no one has given me my own talk show. But then I found out that on multiple occasions she has blamed the victim of rape or taken the side of the rapist, making excuses for him by, again, blaming the girl. She's shit. Yeah, SK can go fuck himself. Has ties to the underworld. Hunts endangered species of deer. Murders people on the street. Tries to get his driver framed for the crime. Pays off the family to drop charges. Get out of jail using his political connections. Almost destroys actors' careers because they used to date his actress girlfriend. And these are just a few off the top of my head. I couldn't agree more, the show is entertaining but his opinions are ridiculous. When there is a problem person/child he puts words in their mouths and when they say no that's not what I meant he goes off on them for disrespecting his professional opinion. He tries to address both sides but ends up taking the other person's side because he agrees with them more. He doesn't even try to figure out why a person is obsessed over item, or why they are so strong-willed, stubborn etc. Dr. Phil is out of touch and old. He gives zero fucks about his guests and spends half the episode repping his books, whatever BS Robin does and promoting whatever BS his sons do. So tired of the unwarranted one-sided advice he gives, it's like one side is wrong and he should report them for child abuse. He garnered all that in the 15 minutes leading up to the show. I'm sure his producers do most of the legwork, but are they psychologists? No, they build a story that will sell commercial space. The entire Spears family. Such assholes. I'm not a Britney fan but she's got tremendous talent. I hope she continues to sing but ditches the baby voice and uses more of her real voice. And sings the music she wants to, when she wants to. She will have sponsors flocking to her. I've followed the whole conservatorship case pretty see. Ugh. Demi Lovato does my head in. They're an awful person, and I'm so sick of them being used as some big example of mental health and drug addictions. Seriously, I have PTSD and I am a recovering addict, haven't been using my poison for almost 2 years, and they are not a good example. They constantly say they're California sober, and they continue to hang out with the people that give them drugs, and go to the clubs where they got drugs. They're basically an alcoholic walking into a vineyard. They even tried to crap on people for going to a festival in a pandemic whilst at the same festival. I worked on set, as a soundie, with Tom Cruise and he was incredibly nice to me when there was zero obligation. I was noticeably sad about my grandfather having passed away and when introducing himself he could tell I was down about something and I actually told him thinking he'd just roll it off and move on, but we talked for 10 minutes. During the days I was on set and he would stop and console me, actually made me feel better. I get people don't like him for being part of the church and I don't understand it myself, but all I can say is the guy was genuinely nice and extremely hard-working. I can tell you people who were assholes like Benedict Cumberbatch, he was incredibly pompous twat. When filming a scene at a railway station he was asked to wear a high-vis jacket for safety measures and he looked at the crew member handing him the jacket with absolute disdain and said, "Do you know who I am?" And just made something simple awkward. My name is Jennifer Lopez. I eat tacos and burritos. Do you remember what I want to order? 3 tacos, a tostada, and a soda pop. Yeah, she never yet had got through with the joke from South Park's as she is a shitty person from what other people had talked about from their experiences with her. Edit. Also Tom Cruise and anyone that is Scientologists can fuck off as well. I think they are trapped in the closet still thinking that L. Ron Hubbard is a saint and shitloa yulls. Russell Brand. Share to your favorite story of this douche canoe. I'll start. He got me fired from my job after hiring me on the preface to provide instruction for a piece of equipment he owns. Turns out I was the entertainment for his party. I wasn't happy about that as I was completely unprepared for that type of event. I continued on and everything seemed awesome. I got to partake in some snacks and talk to the guests. I get ready to leave and he comes out and asks me to delete any photos that I took in the house of him and the guests. I showed him the pictures and then deleted them and he was all cool with it. After a week, my job gets a phone call from his lawyer about filing a lawsuit against them because I refused to delete pictures taken in his house. Got denied UI after a phone interview that was 5 minutes long. Due to laws that protect celebrities from paparazzi in CA, I couldn't collect my unemployment, even though my employer was not fighting UI, until I was in front of a judge for my hearing, 3.5 months later. I won my case BTW and was paid in full the next day. Russell hires her for one of his parties. She attends and takes photos with guests. Russell pulls her aside and tells her to delete said photos. She deletes them in his presence, proving she did. Russell's attorney calls her workplace filing a lawsuit, saying she didn't delete said photos. She had to be fired and couldn't collect unemployment. Went to court, proved her innocence and collected all of the unemployment she should have received. Eric Clapton. Not only is he a racist prick, yes, I know he apologized years later, but he is also a dangerous anti-vaxxer. He claimed that the vaccine caused him to lose all feeling in his hands and that he may not be able to play anymore. This, from a man who spent decades consuming alcohol and every illegal drug ever made. Yes, it is the vaccine and not neuropathy, very common in addicts, especially alcoholics. Then, he writes and regularly performs an anti-vax song he wrote this year. He's a decent guitar player, but not enough that he doesn't need to fuck right off. Amber Heard, that chick through her own narcissism and manipulation weaponized a movement meant to give women a voice and turned it into a joke. All the I did this, I do that, turns out she likes to make a lot of claims that are proven lies so often. What she did to Depp should have put her narc ass in prison, yet she keeps on a rolling like a round turd in a hurricane. The woman is dangerous yet people make excuses and ignore her shit. I point blank refuse to watch anything with her in it, not that it makes a difference to anything but she gives women a bad name. James Woods. He's an asshole. I don't like his politics or the way he expresses his political beliefs. But more than that, he is a vain and vindictive son of a bitch. Some guy on Twitter called Woods a cocaine addict. As far as Twitter insults go, that's pretty tame. But Woods went ahead and sued the guy for libel. And the case actually progressed and was headed for trial when the defendant, the guy who tweeted it, died. When he learned of this, Woods said that he hoped the guy died screaming my name, adding, "Learn this. Libel me, I'll sue you. If you die, I'll follow you to the bowels of hell. Get it?" He then went after the guy's estate, but the case eventually settled with the guy's bereaved family having to write Woods a formal apology letter. For fuck's sake, nobody likes people talking shit about them, but grow some thick fucking skin. Go ahead and fuck off, James Woods. Hear that a lot about Meghan Markle, but I can't think of anything she's done that would justify the level of hate she gets, besides being half black. Honestly, 99% of the time someone talks shit about her, a little bit of questioning shows they have no actual basis for their complaints, so I personally think racism is probably the basis for most of it. My favorite is the allegation that she forced Harry to leave the royal family, as if Harry has no agency of his own, as if his mother's death at the hands of the paparazzi did not leave a massive mark on his personality that clearly transfers over to a fear for his wife and children. He's made it clear his entire life that he hates being stuck in the goldfish bowl of that family, and I think Meghan provided him with the perfect opportunity to get the hell away from it. I've never met either of them, I never will, and it's blatantly obvious to me. Which makes it utterly mystifying that no one else can apparently see it. It's not rocket science why he left, and while his wife was certainly part of the motivation for that, it wasn't the motivation everyone thinks it is. She didn't force him, he fled for her safety. I think some people are just angry that he could be that happy and in love with an American biracial woman. Because non-royals can't imagine leaving that alleged fairy tale, they can't fathom why he might want to. So they blame his wife because she's a convenient target. We all know this, and even though it's a common answer, Donald Trump can't get over his entitlement that he came from money, and thinks he has the right to treat people as if they're lower than him. Let's not forget the blatant sexual harassment. He's probably one of the worst people to come across, and yet there are people out there who absolutely love him. And they say it's for his honesty. You can be honest and still be a shitty person. Yeah, sure, maybe he did some good things politically, like build an alliance with North Korea. Doesn't change the fact that we clearly have an ignorance problem. I may get backlash for this, IDC, it's true. Chris Pratt: there is no such thing as a non-homophobic supporter of a homophobic organization. He knows what they do and he supports them anyway. Also, like generally being a shitty father and annoying asshole. The dude had like a 3-lap lead, everyone liked him and he threw it all away, and his career is going to be dead in like 10 years. He is not a great actor, he was skating by on being the everyday Joe and people like to see him succeed. If people stop liking him, what does he have left? Leonardo DiCaprio came to Canada in 2014 to complain about oil sands projects in Alberta. A few months later he was spotted on a mega yacht off the coast of Brazil during the World Cup. The owner of the yacht was a Middle Eastern gas billionaire. Any celebrity that complains about climate change then flies private or owns a private farm. These farms are used for tax purposes. Source: accountant. Ben Shapiro, Tommy Lauren, and a host of other right-wing journalists. All they do is find nonsense to be outraged about and endlessly complain while blaming Democrats, brown people, and members of the LGBT community for everything going wrong in the US. I hate that Nashville is turning into a haven for people just like them. Marilyn Manson, loved that guy. He was clever, sexy, and dangerous. The problem was he was also abusive, and I know, there's a fine line between danger and abuse in BDSM. Even when he fell out with Trent Reznor, I thought he was just misunderstood. Part of me wishes he'd turn his life around, the other part of me says he can fuck right off. R. Kelly. If you haven't heard, he will be going to prison from as little to 10 years to the maximum of life for racketeering and sexual abuse of girls. The worst part is these claims have started back before I was born, more than 20 years ago. Ariana Grande, after she said she hated American and licked the frosting off all the donuts in a donut shop. This doesn't seem like something any normal person would do, so they should have tested her for drugs, but you know, if you have money it doesn't matter. The only reason this makes me mad is because she used to be lower class in Cuba and America is the reason she's famous. Now I do agree with her, I am not a fan of my own country, but when you're famous and famous because of America, you don't say shit like that unless you're over here using your wealth to try and fix it, which she isn't. Taylor Swift. Nothing inherently bad about her, I just hate that she switches her personality so much and is so fake. I am all for having multiple taste in music and fashion, but it's just obvious she does it to continue to be famous and make money of multiple groups of people. If she had started out making all different genres of music, I would actually applaud her for being one of the very few musicians who make multiple genres that are very separate. All of them. Sure, there are some cool personalities in the fame industry, so to speak, however they all work in conjunction to pull the wool over people's eyes. There are different celebrities for all personality types, so instead of us critiquing how they all exploit their fans, we've all got someone unique to hate and someone to worship. It changes the conversation from income inequality and excessive consumption to clawing at each other over our fave celebs. Mariah Carey. A nut job that needs to be brought down to earth. She knows how to sing, big shit. She's still a human. I have a friend who has worked with her. She refused to go on with work one day because they had the wrong amount of flowers and type of flowers in her dressing room. Bitch needs to realize that there are people starving in the world and she's crying BC of flowers. What a dumb broad lebs. Dixie or Charlie D'Amelio of whatever their name is. I'm 17 and have been working my ass off for years, getting my own place at 16 after being emancipated and getting up at the crack of dawn every day to do around 3 hours of work before and another 4 after every day, and this goddamn brat makes millions for dancing and doing makeup stuff on a app. It really makes me think how little you have to do to be someone, yet for others you do everything and you still have nothing. Kanye is fine in my books, because I've never seen him as pretending to be something he's not with that belief. It's the confidence that made him persistent in the early days where a lot doubted his potential and he proved them wrong, plus he earned his success with true talent. Of course, that tipped the scales and his ego grew. A lot. However, what makes it more compelling for me, is seeing how he wrestles with that in his music. He's definitely self-aware of his flaws, many of his songs talk about it, Saint Pablo, MBDTF in general. He even used to have a blog back in the late 2000s early 2010s where he talked about trying to help himself and make fans more proud. Maybe it didn't go as smoothly or ideal, but I dunno, I just find Kanye to be painfully human after removing the veil of fame. Why is this such a bad belief? Are you jealous? He has literally changed the world. He has music that has inspired every genre. Streetwear fashion is based around his wardrobe. Besides his occasional cringe shower thoughts and Christian beliefs, he doesn't do anything bad. He's an artist, not a scientist. Seriously, should we get mad at Muhammad Ali? He had a big ego. Edit, I am actually hoping for a response rather than just downvotes. I'm curious why spreading hate for someone who doesn't harm others is so popular here. Kanye is fine in my books, because I've never seen him as pretending to be something he's not with that belief. It's the confidence that made him persistent in the early days where a lot doubted his potential and he proved them wrong, plus he earned his success with true talent. Of course, that tipped the scales and his ego grew. A lot. However, what makes it more compelling for me, is seeing how he wrestles with that in his music. He's definitely self-aware of his flaws, many of his songs talk about it, Saint Pablo, MBDTF in general. He even used to have a blog back in the late 2000s early 2010s where he talked about trying to help himself and make fans more proud. Maybe it didn't go as smoothly or ideal, but I dunno, I just find Kanye to be painfully human after removing the veil of fame. Why is this such a bad belief? Are you jealous? He has literally changed the world. He has music that has inspired every genre. Streetwear fashion is based around his wardrobe. Besides his occasional cringe shower thoughts and Christian beliefs, he doesn't do anything bad. He's an artist, not a scientist. Seriously, should we get mad at Muhammad Ali? He had a big ego. Edit, I am actually hoping for a response rather than just downvotes. I'm curious why spreading hate for someone who doesn't harm others is so popular here.